Third down and 20.
We're doing draft props, baby. Steed, I don't know about you. Draft props, one of my favorite parts of the season, surprisingly. I don't know why. Draft props, I think I like them more than Super Bowl props. Even though if you go back and watch the Super Bowl props video, I went absolutely crazy on the Super Bowl props. You know, I was hitting everything, just long over on the national anthem, you know, showing like Tom Brady first. It was going crazy. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but we got draft props.
We do have draft props. They're a lot of fun, you know, because it's just, you know, there's so much. Draft day is so hectic. So like,
oh, it's crazy. You have no idea what's coming.
And I feel like Vegas doesn't know what's coming. So you could probably find some players in here with really good value if you kind of just like have that gut feeling.
Well, yeah, I remember last year you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire as first running back off the board. What were the odds on that? That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, what were the odds? I made $400 off of it. I think it was a $20 bet. So what's that, plus 2,000? Yeah, it was plus
like that.
2,000.
It was something crazy.
Yeah,
so I commend you for that.
It was wild.
Especially this last pick in the first round, you're just going crazy. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hits. Oh man.
Well, dude, the thing is, when that was happening, I was on Twitter and I found like this guy that was leaking picks before, and just like me, like being very impatient, I had to know. And apparently, I think Miami was picking somewhere like right in the 18 or something like that, and they said DeAndre Swift got picked, and I was like pissed off. And then he retracted his tweet and said I was wrong, and I just go crazy, you know, get another fight. And
yeah,
you know,
pretty incredible. All right, but let's get into draft props. Steed, I'm throwing it to you. Do you have a draft prop you would like to start off on?
Well, since we're speaking about the running back draft prop from past season, I'm gonna shoot another. I'm gonna try to shoot another dart to the bullseye here. I'm gonna take Javonte Williams. Now, this is not extremely as high odds as Clyde was last year, plus 550 to be the first running back off the board. But you know, I don't like the value of Najee here at minus 160. NTN, you know, we've talked about him. I think some teams might pass on him. But Javonte, I think, you know, he really fits that NFL mold. You've seen the videos on him. He breaks tackles. He does it all. So, you know, you're getting a guy that has, you know, in our eyes, RB1 of this class at plus 550. And I think teams will see that too, kind of like last year. And you know, Najee, I don't think Najee's going to be a first-round pick, as like they're kind of looking at it now. So I'm going to take Javonte Williams plus 550, first running back off the board.
I'll tell you on that. You know, let's just go through all the positions, because running back you hit on last year. I like Javonte Williams at plus 400. The other guy I like, there's actually two guys I like more as value picks. I really don't think they're going to be the first running back off the board, but the odds are just crazy. Yeah. And that's more Trey Sermon than Michael Carter, just because Michael Carter, I like his film. I just don't think he has that athletic upside. Trey Sermon, on the other hand, I don't know why he's being so discounted as a running back. I think it was because of some of the earlier games, because that is something that I think put too much stock into, is when, you know, the first couple of games that he played for Ohio State. I really liked him at Oklahoma. I think I actually remember we were watching Oklahoma game together, and I said something to you. I'm like, dude, this Trey Sermon kid, like, do you know anything about him? I like him. He's pretty good, you know, good all around back. Plus 4,000, I think, is just a little bit ridiculous. If I were an odds maker, that would be like cut in half. So something I don't think is going to happen. Plus 4,000, though. I really don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Trey Sermon could be the first running back off the board. I don't think it would happen, but I would not be terribly shocked. And I think that odds does not show the true possibility of it.
For a value play, just kind of like if you want to have that shot in the dark, just like drafts never go as according to plan, and just like particular players being picked where. And I mean, I like that. Plus 4,000, you throw $10, you're making $400, you're chilling. And Trey Sermon did really bust on the scene late last year, and it seems like his stock is rising of late. And if a running, I don't know if he's going to go if he would go in the first round, but I don't think any of these running backs are going to go in the first round. But if you're sitting there day two, maybe like beginning second, mid second, I can see a team take the bite at Trey Sermon, kind of just out of nowhere.
One thing with first round picks is that generally you have to be a stud athlete to go in the first round. These GMs, especially the more savvy GMs, they're not taking subpar athletes unless your film is ridiculous.
Hmm.
And I think that Trey Sermon, the thing that is being discounted with him is that he does fit both boxes to a certain extent. His film isn't perfect, and he's not the craziest athlete to grace the earth, but he is a great combination of the two. And I personally believe that he's going to go a lot earlier than people are thinking. I think that right now, the consensus is that he's around a third round kind of a guy, early third. I
Hmm.
truly would be shocked if he goes outside of the top 70 picks in the draft. So either very early third round, I think second round with potential upside. Um,
Yeah, his over under of where he's being picked at would probably be a good bet to bet the under. I don't know what the line is, but
I don't even think it's there. But let's go to
uh,
receiver. We were talking about this before the pod. Jamar Chase is the heavy favorite, but I agree with you on this one as well. Jalen Waddle as first receiver. I have it plus 600 here on DraftKings. I don't know what you're looking at.
I
Pretty
got
damn
six
good
fifty.
value.
It
I
is.
like you saw it last year with Ruggs. Waddle, I think, is a better prospect than Ruggs.
Well, the thing is, I'm going to say about that is, the last previous 5 years, the favorite receiver has not gone first. So does history continue to repeat itself here to make 6 years in a row where the favorite does not go first? Now, there hasn't been a receiver as pretty much as talented as Jamar Smith in the last 5 years. I think we can
Jamar
pretty
Smith.
much Jamar Chase. My bad. I just like combined Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith together. But there hasn't been as a talented as receiver as Chase in probably the past 5 years. I think we can both agree on that. But if if we're thinking of the first receiver is going to go off the board at 6 to the Dolphins, pending of if Kyle Pitts is already gone, Jalen Waddle kind of they need a Jalen Waddle kind of aspect on that team, and you're getting them at plus 600, plus 650 odds. I mean, crazier things have happened. I like the pick. I just because it's good value, and also of past recent history that the favorite has not gone first.
I mean, think about it like this too. If the Falcons trade out or take Penei Sewell, all of a sudden that starts shaking things up a little bit. And if the Bengals decide, hey, we're going to go Rashawn Slater or Sewell, whoever's on the board, and then
Hmm.
Kyle Pitts is there at 6, and the Dolphins are saying, hey, we're just taking the best skill player available, or even there's rumors they may trade down again, all of a sudden you could see there. I think that part of the problem is that a lot of the mocks are it's the same picks, and one trade can blow this whole thing up. And I think that, every year teams want to trade down because if you look at any data analytics model, they will usually say more picks are better than less picks because the draft is an absolute crapshoot unless you're picking top 4, top 3.
Hmm.
And even so, you have to overpay to get there because you're usually trading up for a quarterback. If one of these teams trades down, all of a sudden the whole thing is blown wide open. And what if that team just says, "Hey, we'd rather have a deep threat than this all-around kind of player, and we're going to take possibly the best deep threat to come out compared to all these other receivers." So I agree with you, Jalen Waddle, good value. I don't think I personally would take it, but
No, but
like you said, the first receiver does not always go. It hasn't always gone, but it's interesting. First offensive lineman, I think that I would not bet against Penei Sewell going first. I just wouldn't. I really don't see a world where Slater or Darisaw goes before them. I think those are the only other two guys you can really justify.
Yeah. I mean, the odds are insane. Like, I'm pretty sure Sewell is favored. I got him at -500 go first, and then Slater at +300. So that's something I just wouldn't even touch. I think it's like very consensus that Sewell will go first. And now, depending on who it is, if it's the Falcons or someone trades up for him, or it is the Bengals, but I it's just a position. It feels like it's already kind of locked up, even though it's a very crowded O line class.
Yeah, the thing is for me, and I thought about this a little bit with the Bengals because I think the reason that the Bengals are at plus 250, not the Bengals, Slater, is because of the Bengals and the fact that they do have tackles and they may take a guard. I don't
Yeah.
think you can pass up on Penny Sewell, though. I think that you would rather just take the bona fide stud because there really aren't many tackles that you can justify saying, "Oh yeah, we'd rather just take a weaker guard prospect than Penei Sewell." So I
And
think
the
that you
guy
just
they just signed, I always forget his name, but
Riley Reef, I believe it
yeah,
is.
Riley Reef. Do you think there's any shot like if they draft Sewell, they just move Reef inside?
I think that they would move Jonah Williams, the left tackle, inside because there actually were talks about moving him to guard possibly when he was coming out. So I think moving him to guard and drafting Sewell would be a good move. You got Reef as the right tackle. Let's move on
Well, it's
though.
a good problem to
Safety.
have.
It is a great problem to have. I just don't think you can pass up on him if you're going to go O line. He's too good. Safety. Trayvon Morg is a pretty heavy favorite at -400. I actually think there's some really good value at safety here, especially because you have Javon Holland, a guy who was last year or 2 years ago, I guess, touted as a first round prospect and opted out. So I think that that's kind of one of the reasons we've seen his stock drop. I haven't watched enough of the safeties to personally want to take this. I don't think that Trayvon Morg is as much of a safety one as people are making him out to be, though.
Hmm.
So I think there's decent value here.
What's Holland's line at?
Plus 400. But even one of these
Okay.
other guys, maybe
Yeah.
it's a Cisco that goes first. I would not be terribly shocked, especially when you're talking about round two picks in the secondary. If there's a team that doesn't like the fit of Morig, one of these dudes who is at crazy odds, might I add, might be going before them.
I don't know.
Cisco
Yeah,
plus
I
4,000.
I kind of agree with you that because like secondary, like unless you're like Patrick Peterson coming out, it feels like secondary positions, corner or safety, whatever it may be. Those positions like not. It seems like more likely the favorite doesn't get picked first, and that it's kind of just more of a scheme fit, and especially with these safeties where like you might probably not even see one go in the first round, and if one doesn't go in the first round, I mean, it could be a guy like Cisco. And
Yeah.
I think I like Holland just because he had that first round talent last year, but I think I would just put a little money on Cisco and just like day two just sit there and just wait for Cisco from Syracuse to get called and see what happens.
I think in general, a lot of these defensive first player drafted are really interesting just because there isn't really a consensus at a lot of these positions. So we're going to move on to D lineman, first D lineman drafted. Here's another position where it's for the most part a crapshoot. You have Quiddy Paye, the favorite at -200, Jalen Phillips,
Wow,
another pretty heavy favorite at +200. But what I
I
want
like
to
that.
say is I would not be because I've seen varying opinions on the top interior D linemen. And a lot of people I've seen love a guy like Levi Onwuzurike. I hope I didn't butcher that name.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Or a
He's
Davion
not that good.
Nixon. Um,
Hmm.
I don't now I wouldn't bet on it, but man, if you really love one of these interior guys and you think a team like the Cowboys might be taking one of them, maybe it's Barmer. Barmer's even a plus 800. There is some crazy good potential value, especially with how many offensive players are going to go up front.
Yeah, the thing is, the interior defensive line, even though those players are good, especially Barmore, it's very thin. and it's like the outside, it's the pass rushers that are like, it's like a pretty big class. I mean, there's probably going to be a lot taken in the first round. You know,
So could
if
you see a
then
team reaching because of that though? If they have one dude graded way ahead of everyone else, and let's say you're the Raiders or something, and you really want that top interior D lineman, maybe the draft just works out so that Paye or Jalen Phillips hasn't gone. Like we're talking crazy odds here,
yeah,
possibly.
but
I
the
think it's
thing
a
is,
stretch,
like,
but
yeah, well, if you're talking about the Raiders, if they're picking at 17, we're going 16 picks before that,
yeah, I
before a
doubt
D
it.
lineman
I
being
doubt it.
picked. And especially for teams like the Giants, even though the Vikings look like they could get Darisaw to fall in their laps, they could take a pass rusher. I kind of like Jalen Phillips odds right there because I think he's my number one defensive lineman player in this class. So I get my favorite guy at plus odds. I would just kind of ride with that. I do like Quiddy Paya too. But I think I would just ride with plus 200 for Jalen Phillips. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that I don't know if a team would draft Barmore that high. But then again, like I really didn't think Dexter Lawrence a couple years ago was going forward to the Raiders. So I'm just gonna stick with my gut and go
Oh, you
Jalen
mean
Phillips
Farrell?
at plus. Yeah, Klein Farrell, not Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah,
Klein
see, that's
Farrell.
the thing. These pass rush, especially in a class like this where there's no bona fide stud, you don't know what the hell is going to happen. So I think there is good value here. Corner, I am a firm believer that J.C. Horn is the easy cornerback one, and he's at
Yeah,
plus 200. I would love that line. Plus 200, like, I don't know.
I'm definitely throwing some money on that.
I personally think that J.C. Horn is going top 10, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I would kind of
Every
like
time I watch
JC.
him,
I kind of like JC Horn first defensive player picked,
yeah,
honestly.
me too. So we'll actually get to that. Let's do linebackers first. Is Micah Parsons a lock at the first linebacker? I actually think not.
Yeah, I
Especially
agree.
with the character concern stuff, it didn't seem to. Did it affect Yetur Gross-Matos at all? I mean, where did he end
Oh,
up
Yetur
going?
Gross-Matos. He went to the Panthers.
Yeah, but at what pick did he
I
go?
think it was second round.
Yeah, I think he went second round. Maybe it did a little bit. I don't know. Um, Regardless, this is a really, really good linebacker class. I mean, we're going to be ranking the position groups in the draft a little bit later on the episode. Spoiler alert, this linebacker class is sick. And I don't think enough people are talking about how many good off-ball linebackers there are.
There are.
Jamin Davis, Zaven Collins, Owosu Koromoa. These are all dudes that are just sick. And then on top of that, you have guys like Nick Bolton, even a Dylan Moses. Like, remember Dylan
Mhm.
Moses? Not too long ago, he was looked at as like a potential top 10 talent. And I'm pretty sure last year he was playing hurt. So who knows what happened with him on
Yeah,
top
he
of
got
Micah
hurt.
Parsons.
Yeah, he was probably easily going to be a first round pick, and then he got hurt of like all last year, and then played this year. But I mean, he's kind of a name too. I feel like these other linebackers, like, just their stocks have risen above him. And if someone was able, if my team was able to pick up a Dylan Moses in the second round, kind of just like, here it is, I would love that pick. Same with like a Chaz Surratt or something like that. But you know, whether if we're picking first linebacker off the board, I think it does come between three guys for me, maybe four because I like Davis too. But three guys would be Zaven Collins, Michael Parsons, and Wosu Koromora in no particular order. And the only thing that it comes down to, like, because I would easily bet Micah Parsons here, but it's just that character concern with me because his
Yeah.
talent, that's no question. He could play. He's the best linebacker in the class, still, in my opinion. So, whatever Wosu Koromoa's line is
Plus
at,
500, I have it at.
I probably wouldn't bet on this class, but just in case Michael Parsons does have that character concern and he does drop a little bit, then I would probably put my money on Owosu Koromoa.
Yeah, they also have some of these outside pass rushing backers, Osai Ojulari in there. Ojulari at
Oh
plus
yeah,
700 could be really interesting if a team likes him a lot. Jamin
yeah,
Davis is a dude that I really like. I'm not sure if he's going to be good enough to go first linebacker off the board, but you talk about an absolute stud of a profile. He's got it. First non-quarterback selected.
I
Kyle
mean,
Pitts is the favorite. Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell are actually tied at plus 300. Penei Sewell, though, at plus 300 seems like absolutely really good odds because this is a dude that I personally think has number one pick sort of potential. There's just so many good quarterbacks that he's going to fall. Penei Sewell, though, plus 300 is really, really good odds because coming into the draft process, he was seen as the bona fide stud.
yeah.
Just positional value check, stud profile check. Pro Football Focus had him like easily graded as their top tackle ever. Now they haven't gone back insanely far, but still, it's pretty impressive. I love Penei Sewell plus 300.
I do too. And the thing is, like, the reason why I like this pick is because, the first three picks are going to be quarterbacks, right? Okay. Now the ball's in the hand with the Falcons because the Falcons, like, I know every mock draft has them out there taking either Fields or Trey Lance here. But, even if they trade out and then they're trading with a team that needs a quarterback, maybe a Broncos like dives in here, then I think right there you're able to get the Bengals picking up Penei Sewell easily.
Yeah. No, I really like those odds plus 300 with Penei Sewell. I think that especially you look at Arthur Smith and what was wrong with the Falcons. They've tried to invest in the offensive line, but it's young. It's a young group. I don't think it's worked out necessarily. So you don't really know with a new coaching regime whether they like the guys that they have in the building or not.
Yeah.
But Penei Sewell, in terms of talent and positional value, kind of checks both boxes. So in terms of just best player available, to me, it's him or Kyle Pitts. Defense, we kind of both went over it. JC Horn at plus 700 is first defensive player off the board, especially with Patrick Surtain being the favorite. I love those odds.
I do too. Because especially we're not projecting a defensive player to go until 10 to the Cowboys, really. If you think about it, maybe the Panthers need a corner or something at 8. They do need a corner, so they could take them there. So, like I think it's in the favor with the teams that necessarily don't need offense but need defense and need secondary help. I think JC Horn at plus 700 is tremendous odds.
All right, let's do some over-unders for specific prospects. Let's start off Trey Lance. His over-under on DraftKings is placed at 6.5. The under is pretty favored here at minus 143, over at plus 115. Steed, I'm going to toss this one to you. What are you
Oh,
thinking for
man.
Trey Lance? Over, under 6.5.
It's just that he's getting so much more hype, it seems like lately, to like really drive this down.
Yeah, I think the
It's
one
what it
X
feels like.
factor is that the Dolphins, I think, are a team that might trade down. The Falcons, I think, might stay put and say, hey, we're going to take the best non QB or even QB available, right? But the Dolphins now are such an. What if you're right with the Broncos moving up, just not with the Falcons, with the Dolphins to take a guy like Lance?
Mm.
Because clearly the Dolphins are a
Hmm.
team that are not afraid of trading down and stockpiling draft picks.
Yeah, you see, this is the decision where I have to make either if Lance is going to go in the top 10 or Fields is going to go like somewhere in that top, or not even top 10, but top, 6. Um, I think I'm gonna buy just based off like how everybody in the media has been hyping him up, and even the 49ers are like talking to Lance a little more. It seems like I'm gonna take the under. What was it again? 6.5
6.5.
minus 143. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna ride the under on that. I think he's gonna be a top 5 pick.
I will say one thing. There are a lot of low lines here. So you got Jamar Chase at 6.5. You have Kyle Pitts at 5.5. You have Penei Sewell at 6.5. And every single one of these unders are favored. One of these guys is going to slide out.
Oh yeah, one of these guys are going over, and that's the
So
question of who.
yeah, that's the tough thing. But you're getting plus odds on one of these guys has to, right? There is no shot that every single one of these unders is hitting. So
Yeah,
I
there's not
think
enough
there is a
spots.
nice little value play somewhere in here. I guess we can go to Jamar Chase over under 6.5. I think right now, with the way that the board is set up, it's almost like, okay, it's either Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts, or right now both. But with the whole trade down scenario happening, I feel like it's one or the other.
Hmm.
Me personally, I think I'd rather have Kyle Pitts.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather have Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is just
I would too.
he's just too insane. So Jamar Chase over under 6.5. I'm actually going to take the over, thinking that one of these teams that needs a skill player is going to trade out, because you still have a couple of teams that are going to be fighting for a quarterback. You still have the Bears, you still have the Washington football team, you still have the Broncos. I mean, then
The
there's other
Patriots.
teams possibly. Yeah, the Patriots, maybe even the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers, but I mean, dude, we saw Kevin Colbert trade up for a linebacker. If the price is right, we have no idea.
Hmm.
There seems to be a lot of competition. That competition is going to drive up the price, and they're going to keep shooting up and up the board. I'm thinking they're going in at 6 and the Dolphins trade down. That's what the reports are, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I like that take because I still think somehow the Dolphins are going to land Pitts at 6. I really do, and it's or like it could be a Waddle or something like that. But I'm really starting to plan right now that the Falcons are going to trade out of their spot. Because they're going to look at it like either we can get
It
Pitts or
makes
we can.
sense for the Falcons, dude. It makes so much sense to trade out for. I mean, dude, think about it. If you trade with the Washington football team, how much draft capital are you getting? Like, you're
You
getting
get
a
a
crap
lot.
ton. Tell me, as a new coach and new GM, like, that's exactly what you want to rebuild the defense, which is the huge problem with your football team.
And especially for a team that, was not in the cap favor this year. And he really didn't get to make these tremendous moves that, like, not going to say help the ball club tremendously, but not help it in the way like he would really want to get into a situation with. If he traded out with the football team or something like that, then he gets a full loaded draft class where he gets his guys probably somewhere around like 10 or 11 picks or something of some sort to that, and then he can get to work. And
Mhm.
I feel like that's what you want to be more leaning towards. And but the thing is, if you can't get that deal where you can just really ball out this draft and get some future draft picks, then maybe that's when you just take Pitts, and then that's when Jamar Chase could go. But I still think if the way we're looking at it, Mac's going to go at 3. One of these teams have to love Trey Lance. If it's the Broncos, Patriots, or football team, there will be a call, and they love him so dearly enough, and they think that he's the next Josh Allen. They're going to trade up to 4. They're going to have to do it.
Yeah, the reason I like a team trading up for Trey Lance a little bit more than Justin Fields is that it really feels like if you're going for a developmental prospect, it's Trey Lance is the guy you want. I almost feel like he has a little bit of that higher upside. Justin
Yeah.
Fields, I still also think is in play for the Niners at 3. He still might be in play for the Jets at 2. I don't think we should overlook the fact that Zach Wilson may not be a lock. I do think Zach Wilson is going to go. I don't know, it's going to be really, really interesting. I want to ask you if you can find the over under on Justin Fields. I'd be curious as to what it is. And I mean, it could just be that 4 quarterbacks go. The Falcons end up going Justin Fields. The Dolphins are the team that's saying, hey, we're at 6. We want to trade out for one of those competing teams for a quarterback. That could easily be the scenario where all these quarterbacks go top 6.
Yeah.
Um,
I
let's,
I found some odds for Justin Fields. It's just like the 3rd pick overall. He's even right now to go at that spot. He's even.
okay.
He's
Yeah,
not the
it's
favorite
close
though.
right now. It's close right now. Who's the favorite? Is it Mac
Mac
Jones?
Jones.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
And
saw
then Trey
Justin
Lance,
Fields was the favorite the other day. I guess Mac Jones, it kind of swung back to him.
but they don't know because they got Trey Lance at plus 200, which that could easily happen too.
Yeah, I see. The thing is with them keeping on to Jimmy G, and almost that's the thing for me is that Mac Jones and Justin Fields, you can realistically expect to play year one. I know that's not
Yeah.
what anyone really wants to hear, but like I really don't see a team taking one of those guys to sit and develop. I mean, you could, especially I think more so with Justin Fields than with Mac Jones. Because like we are kind of in agreement that it feels like if you take Mac Jones, you're getting an NFL level quarterback day one.
Yeah, so,
Whereas,
like, I feel like you gotta move on from Jimmy G from right then.
yeah, and like with the cap hit with Jimmy G, I don't know. I'll leave that one to those guys. But let's move on in our propes. Rashawn Slater, over under 9.5. I'll take this one. I'm thinking over. Simply because I think that if a team wants a tackle, they're going to go with Darisaw. If a team
True.
needs a versatile offensive lineman, they're going to go with Slater. And more of those teams that need that versatile O line, and it makes sense for them to pick it, feels like it's after pick 10 for me.
Yeah, the only team that I think that would, because like after 5, after Sewell goes, the only team I can think that would pick Slater, maybe 2, but one is the Panthers. But still, at the end of the day, I don't think the Panthers would do that. So I would take the over there. What's the
It's
over
nine and a
has to
half.
be?
They're both minus 110, 112. So it's
Oh, okay.
basically
All
just
right.
pick it, you know. I'm gonna go. The thing is for me with the Panthers, if I'm the Panthers, if I'm Matt Rule and those guys, I am strictly picking BPA. I love my spot at 8. The quarterbacks are flying off the board. We got a potential starting quarterback for a great price. If none of those deals get done for a quarterback and we're sitting there with a guy that we love, we'll take him. If everyone's going crazy for the quarterbacks and all of a sudden some really sick skill players drop, or just players in general like Penei Sewells and JC Horns and whatnot, then we take them. I think that the Panthers are in the driver's seat for this draft right now with kind of how they've handled things. And you know, they drafted all defense last year. They made some really good value deals on offense last year. Really feels like everything is on the up and up for the Panthers, dude. I don't want to turn this into just a Panthers circle jerk or anything, but I don't
Yeah, Panthers
I
podcast.
it just really feels like they're doing every single right move.
Well, the
Like,
thing is, like, like it would be kind of boring taking Slater there. So if you look at it, let's just think that Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts are probably both off the board. Then you're able to either get a guy like Jalen Waddle and or Devontae Smith, which
yeah, but the same
just
thing is
as
too
eye
is that
candy.
you got that early second too. So they have that to play with. And this is a super deep O line class. So if they want to go O line, you could realistically expect a starting caliber guy to be there at pick 2.
True. True.
I don't the Panthers are a tough team to project because it really depends on what everyone else does, but I think they're in a great spot. Devontae Smith over under 11.5. Over's favored right now at minus 130.
Really?
Yeah, I think that people are thinking Devontae Smith goes pick 12. I mean, he weighed in at 166 today. The news came out. I love
Oh,
Devontae Smith. I personally, in my most recent mock, I had a mock to the Panthers at 8 actually. So I think that
it,
the under is the play if you're gonna take it. I don't love it though.
I would take the under too, but I just got a question about Devontae Smith because I didn't think I knew he was skinny, but I didn't think he's 166 skinny. I mean, I weighed that like in my junior year of high school, but I mean, does he have like some kind of like eating disorder or like
No, he's just a
like
smaller guy.
he just
I
can't
think
gain
people are
weight?
blowing that way out of proportion because they're
I
saying
I, I don't care about it. I just like I like what I feel like you would be able to gain a little bit of weight, you know.
I don't really care at all. I think it's more of a problem that Tutu Atwell weighed 149
But
than
he's Tutu's nasty. He's gonna be the
like
best kick returner of all time.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal, but what do I know?
I don't either. I think like if I'm a team like the Lions or Panthers, I'd grab Devontae right there. One of those two could easily get him. So I'd take the under. I mean, I still think Devontae's a top 10 player in this draft. So
Yeah, I
there we
just think
go.
that you
I
look at
mean,
his film, it's ridiculous. And all the See, here's the big thing with the Devontae Smith argument that drives me more towards liking him than not liking him is that all the reasons people give for him that he's going to struggle being small, he actually looked pretty good at on tape. Like they're saying, oh well, he won't be able to take a hit over the middle. Well, I posted a clip on Instagram and the Twitter where
Yeah.
he takes a shot over the middle from one of the LSU linebackers. I'm not sure who it was. Like a shot. That dude had like a 5-yard running start. LSU D1 prospect. Like that dude's an NFL player basically. And he's
Mhm.
getting nailed by 3 guys. Like, so I don't really buy that. On top of the fact that Taylor Gabriel wasn't taking shots over the middle in the slot. Like it's not like if you catch the ball over the middle, you're guaranteed to get hit. There are things that you can do to not get hit, right? Like, and on top of the fact that the game is more geared towards offensive players not getting demolished every play like in the past.
Yeah, that's
So
true. It's not 2005 anymore.
yeah, I think that the thing is that the NFL is trending towards these players like Devontae Smith. I almost equate it to basketball, where I know this is going to sound crazy, but you see basketball nowadays. I feel like a guy like Kevin Durant would have been a little bit ostracized back in the day because of how lanky he is, but the dude can just freaking play, and he's like a spider out there. I think
Yeah, because
Devontae
he's
Smith
seven
is in a
foot.
similar way. He's lanky, he's long. Like, yeah, he's not going to absolutely destroy you, but with the RPO style of football nowadays and the fact that you're not getting demolished, there are all these rules to protect the players. It really plays into Devontae Smith's favor. And it's not
Mhm.
like what he can break press. He's pretty sick at it. He can take a hit. I've seen it on film. So I don't want to turn this into a huge Devontae Smith rant. Caleb Farley, over under 21 and a half. This is pretty
Ooh,
crazy because this is a guy that has top 10 potential, but because of that back stuff,
he's
it's
gonna
really
slide.
scary. I am staying away from this. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to play doctor and try to
Yeah, that's probably smart.
know exactly what these NFL teams are thinking. I personally think that if talent wise, he's way better than this over under, right? And if it'll be very telling if the Cardinals at 16 decide to go someone else aside from Farley, because he kind of perfectly fits what they're going for. So I'm going to stay away from this.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not touching that if he has an injury. Like
Yeah.
I could bet on it based off his talent. But thing is, I'm not in the medical room. I'm not in the medical team. I don't know what's going on with his back. I don't know like if he's like where he can play next season or he'll never play ever again. So
I mean, dude,
I'm
we've seen
just
that the back is the one, like we've seen ACLs, right? ACLs used to be a huge problem, but now they're just not as much of a problem. It is for some guys because it gets weaker, but it's really not a huge issue like it was in the past.
yeah, nah.
The back stuff, dude, this kills players' careers having bad backs. You do not want to fuck with the back. Jalen Phillips over under 21 and a half. I am taking this under at, I think, pretty
I'm easily
easily.
taking that under. I think I would have taken it at 15 and a half. Like I'm
So,
taking that under.
yeah, he's both our edge one or very close to edge one, if not. So, under 21 and a half. Yeah, I'm taking that. I think it's pretty easy. Travis Etienne over under 34 and a half. Even minus 110 a pop. I have
Hmm.
no idea what this because like that is the perfect line. If a team really wants him, they're going to take him around one. If they're scared of what they see on tape, he's going to hit this over. I'm staying away from this. I have no freaking idea what's going to happen with Travis Etienne.
Yeah, he's interesting. I think I'm gonna be a little more. I think I'm going to take this. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go the over. I think he's gonna
Okay.
fall, man. I think he's gonna fall.
Let's do a couple more of these until we move on to our next type of probe. Probes. Um, Kyle Pitts over under 5.5. I'm taking the under. Under is a massive favorite. It's minus 160. Overs at plus 125. It's just me personally. I can't see 5 teams realistically passing on Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, he
I
has to
mean,
go, right?
The same. I could have. I was saying the same thing about Quentin Nelson though. I was like, listen, I don't care if he's a guard. I can't see 5 teams, 6 teams passing on him because he's just
Yeah,
ridiculous. Um, Maybe the same thing happens with Kyle Pitts. I don't know, but this is
it
just one of
could
those
though.
dudes that I just can't. Dude, you're telling me like he's he's a freak, dude. He's a freak. I can't realistically see 5 teams passing on him unless
You
some
know,
crazy stuff happens.
the thing is, I can see it just like based off like how things like work. Because like I feel like the top four picks are going to be quarterbacks, but like I totally agree with you. Like I think I'd want to take the under because I think Kyle Pitts is easily a top five player in this draft. But I'm getting this feel from the Falcons. If they don't trade out, they're taking either Fields or Lance, and then that leaves Sewell going to the Bengals, and then that leaves Pitts going to the Dolphins.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna take the over, man. I just have a bad feeling about the Falcons. But
there's some good
that's
value in the over if you really believe in that. Let's move on. Trayvon Morig, over under 26 and a half. I'm taking this over.
I agree.
I think you are
I think
too.
it's
I don't
pretty
think we
easy.
kind of covered that earlier.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
I really would not take a safety in the top 27 picks of this draft.
There's better
Uh,
players.
JC Horn over under 13 and a half. The under is favored at minus 129. I'm taking the under.
I
JC
think that's
Horn,
still good value there too.
yeah, that is good. I don't know. JC Horn to me is easily the cornerback one. We've been raving over JC Horn, so let's move on. Penny Sewell over under 6.5. Under is at minus 129 as well. I'm taking this under. I mean, you're getting once again Penny Sewell, Kyle Pitts, the two to me at least easily best non-quarterbacks. If I'm a GM, I'm not letting these guys slide out of the top 7.
Yeah, I agree.
Patrick Surtain over under 10.5.
I take
This
the
is a
over.
tough one.
I take the over. I think.
I have no idea because the thing is I see a possibility where him and JC Horn go top 11.
That could happen. I think that kind of relies on it goes back to the Panthers right there, right? If the Panthers take a corner, then they're probably both going in the top 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is that's the see if this was more of a line of it's one or the other, then I'd like it a lot more. The problem is that it's not. I could easily see a scenario where both of these guys go top 10, top 11. So I think I would lean over with you. I would stay away though, me personally. Najee Harris over under 29.5. I'm taking this over. And I'm not even breaking a sweat. I actually really like this over. Dude, go ahead. If a team wants to take Najee Harris in the top 30 picks of the draft, go ahead and prove me wrong. But I personally think that Najee Harris is a second round prospect. He's not young, which I know that there are teams that take that into their evaluations. He didn't
That's true.
run in his pro day, so you don't get the numbers. He had good tape, but dude, I've seen all these Bama backs drop aside from Josh Jacobs. Um, like I do not see him going in the top 30. I really do not see him going in the top 30 picks.
I agree with you, I'm not going to knock off Najee because like I do agree with what you're saying, but
He's a
I
good
just more.
player.
Yeah, just more the fact that like I don't really see a running back going in the first round. We barely got one last year. I mean, we had to wait till the last pick of the first, and I feel like that running back class was a lot more talented than this running back class, right? I mean, am I crazy thinking that? I really
Yeah,
don't
I
think
think
so.
all around I think it was better. I don't know.
So
Najee Harris, the one reason that's weird for him is because of how good of a pass catcher he is, which is a huge advantage over my RB1 last year, Jonathan Taylor, where he just wasn't that receiving kind of back. Najee Harris is. So I think that does give him an X factor though. Let's keep going though. Elijah Vera Tucker over under 15.5. Basically even
ooh,
minus 112 a pop. I have no
yeah,
idea with this one. I have absolutely no idea. I'm not picking it.
I wouldn't touch it, but the thing is, it's just
I think I'd lean
that
over.
that relies on
I
the
don't know.
Chargers. That relies on the Chargers right there.
I
And
think
if
I'd still
they're
lean over.
if we're putting I think I'd go over too with you, and it's because if I'm looking for just O line help and Vera Tucker's like kind of more that hybrid where you can play inside and out, but I would prefer more at a guard position. You know, if Slater falls, the Chargers could pick him up, then Darisaw goes at 14, and then the Patriots aren't picking up an O lineman, so
Yeah, well, that's
then
the
it
thing
comes
is, I
over.
feel like trades could really help out this under. If there's gonna be some trades, and I feel like you get a team like the Lions, if they trade back with the Pats, then they're a prime team that would take Vera Tucker. Let's
Yeah,
speed
that's
run these
true.
last two. Micah Parsons over under 13 and a half. I'm gonna go over.
Yeah, I'm going over with you, and that's just
All right.
because of character concerns.
Jalen Waddle over under 11 and a half. I'm
He
gonna
feels like an
go.
under.
I feels like under too. I'm gonna go under. I hate it,
He
but I'm
feels
gonna
like
go
an
under.
under. I just see him going top 10.
First round totals. Total safeties drafted in the first round. The over is a heavy favorite at over a half.
Yeah, so you just need one.
I think I'm still gonna go under. I don't think a safety gets drafted in the first round.
It's just tough.
I hate that though, because I
A
feel like
single
the
position.
surprise safety goes in the end. The end of the first, I think there's gonna be a surprise, but
I
I'm
can
gonna
see
go
the
under.
States at 28 just picking one up there. 28. But
Total
yeah,
running backs drafted in the first round, over under a half as well. Over is even a heavier favorite than the safeties at minus 305. I'm hitting the under. I don't think a running
yeah,
back
I'm
goes in the
taking the
first.
under. I agree with you on that.
Total tight ends drafted in the first round, over under 1.5. The under is minus 500, and I don't disagree.
I mean, you know who the one's going. But the thing is, if you bet on that, you get Kyle Pitts early, so you're just hoping the rest would be
Yeah,
just give me
the
one
Muth,
guy. But
the
yeah,
Friar
the
Muth.
boot. I yeah, but that's an under. I don't think any tight end really has a first round
Total
talent.
total cornerbacks drafted, over under 4.5. The under is minus 143. Or no, the over is minus 143. The under is plus 115. I'm
That's
going to go
interesting.
over. Every single year, there are a couple of those corners that you think are second round guys that go in the first. You can never have enough good, talented corners. It seems like every single year teams need them. I'm going to go over.
I'm gonna go over with you. I think it hits right around 5 because JC, Sertain, Newsom are going right, and then that leaves you with Farley, who someone could take the bid at him if his back is not
Yeah, you got
treacherous.
Farley. You got a couple of Georgia corners. You got
Yeah,
a
yeah,
whole
yeah,
slew of
yeah.
decent corners.
I like that over a lot actually.
Total wide receivers drafted in the first, over under 4.5. The over is minus 200, under plus 155.
Mm. So we know 3 are going right.
I'm gonna go under here. I think it's a bold take. Those three go. I'm gonna go under.
Because Rondell Moore could go, and then it just becomes, does that one team take that shot on somebody?
Like a Terrace Marshall, a Dimey Brown, a Rashad Bateman. I think that those are the guys that people are thinking, but I'm gonna go under. And I'm using your thing, the T. Higgins test, I'm gonna call it.
True.
If T. Higgins wasn't a first round prospect, I think the only one you can make an excuse for is a team taking Terrace Marshall. I don't love Terrace Marshall's film, but athletically, the guy's freaking insane. So I could see that. Total linebackers drafted in the first round, over under 4.5. I'm taking the over, and I love this over at plus
I do
140
too.
because I think easily there are 5 first round prospects. You got Micah Parsons, number 1, Owosu Koromo, number 2, Jamin Davis, number 3. You have Azeez Ojulari, number 4, and you
Zayvon
have Zaven
Collins.
Collins at number 5. And I would be pretty shocked if all 5 of those guys are not first round picks. I think the only one you can make an argument for, well, I guess maybe 2, is Azeez Ojulari and Zaven Collins. Mainly Zaven Collins because of the positional ambiguity with him. He's a little bit big for an off-ball linebacker, but his tape is too good, and he's just such
Yeah,
a
I
freak.
feel
I don't
like
see him going out.
he's just kind of like not a lot to go in the first round, but like everybody views him as a first round talent kind of player, and that a team will take a shot on him, whether it's the Raiders or something like that. I love that over. Like it feels like 4.5 is a little too low, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I
So
would have put it at 5.5.
speaking of 4.5, total defensive lineman drafted over under 4.5. The more I look into it, the more I think it's going to be an under. I would not be surprised with the over though. The value is definitely at the over.
I'm trying to think. You got Jalen Phillips, Quiddy Pie,
Gregory
Rousseau.
Rousseau, and then you kind of have you have Jason Oweh, who tested well.
But
But I would not be
Barmore.
surprised. Yeah, you have Barmore, Nixon, Onwuzurike. I like the over actually. I
You
like the
just need
over a little bit.
5. Like
I
I
think the
like
play is the
4 that
over.
would go. Yeah,
hmm
I think I'm going over with you. I like the over.
Total quarterbacks over under 5.5. I've been saying it. Kellerman's going 32. I'm taking the over. It's my hot take for the draft. Spoiler alert.
Oh man, I mean that would be awesome. And that would be like a home run hit for you too if you guessed that right.
Well, I wouldn't take this line. There's another line we're going to talk about in about 2 minutes.
I think I'm gonna go. Oh, dude, that's tough. I think I would stay away from that one, but I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna disagree with you on that.
All
I don't
right.
know if Kellen Mond sneaks in there. Maybe
Total
Felipe
offensive
Franks.
lineman drafted in the first round over under 6.5. I'm going probably the over. This is a sick offensive line class.
Yeah, wasn't. I was shocked that it wasn't 7.5. Honestly.
Let's go player draft. What is pick by position? I'm trying to find exactly where it is. The lines that I was talking about. Player, yeah, here it is. Here's the pick of the draft because I think Kellen Mond is going to go exactly pick 32. I think that the Bears, I think it's the favorite that for me, the Bears trading up to 32. Kellen Mond to go round 1 plus 1,800. Give it to me. Give it to me. Plus 1,800. I wish I could bet on him going exactly pick 32.
Yeah, that. I wonder what the odds on that are.
We can still do some more props. There's actually some props that I still like. I know this is running a little bit long, but we're gonna fly through them. Let me just okay, yeah. So I'm gonna start flying through them. This is team's first or second drafted player. I'll differentiate the two, but basically you pick what position the team is gonna draft. So for Panthers, let me bring the Panthers up because there are two that I like. We already hit on one, and one is the corner. I need to find the odds of that, but the other one I like is receiver. At plus 800, corner is plus 400. I like both of those for the Panthers. I'm not super confident, but the odds I think match the risk.
I think I like corner, dude. I think Matt Rule is just going to keep on with the defensive trend. Just
So the
keep on.
Saints, dude, listen to this. This is crazy. Saints, linebacker plus 700. Safety, if you think they're taking a safety, plus 1,100. Them taking a safety. Defense is minus 143. I love that defense minus 143 thing. They lost so much defensive talent this offseason. I love that line.
I do too. I kind of like them taking a linebacker there, honestly, more than anything.
Next one, New York Jets, second drafted player, offensive lineman, plus 400. I love it. You're going to take Trevor Lawrence. Do not take the bait. Take the offensive line. I've been saying it all season or all off season. Plus 400 for it. I think is a great pick.
Yeah,
Bengals
I like
first
that.
drafted, offensive line is plus 120. I like that a lot. Same thing for Falcons. Falcons, we were talking about this before the pod. First drafted player, offensive line, plus 1,000. I mean, plus 1,000 to take Penei Sewell, who you can make an
Yeah.
argument is the third most talented player in the draft, second even. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, those are really good odds. It's just like, if they trade out of that pick, they're not going O-line.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
I like the Packers taking a defensive player at plus 120. I think that's decent. Giants taking D-line first pick plus 350.
I like
I
that
think
a
that's a
lot.
great pick.
I think that's where you see the first D lineman go, right there.
Yeah.
I think that's where you see Jalen Phillips go.
Cardinals, their biggest need is corner. You could take them taking a corner at plus 120 with their first pick. Plus odds. Give me that. This is a one I really like. Chiefs, first pick D line plus 650. I
The
mean,
favorite has to be
obviously,
O-line.
yeah, O line is the favorite, but you got to remember this is a team that was literally worst in pass rush last year. They were like dead last without blitzing. I know they need offensive line desperately, but man, I like that pick. So yeah, the other ones, third pick, we both think it's Mac Jones. You can take it at plus 150. That line's been moving like crazy.
Yeah, it has.
Other than that, I think we got it all. Oh, last one. Over under on Bama players in the first round at minus 200. The over under 6.5. The over's favored. Or was it 5.5 actually? Yeah, 5.5. 5.5. So you have Mac Jones guaranteed, Patrick Surtain guaranteed. You
Waddle,
have
Devontae Smith,
Waddle, Devontae Smith. Then you have
Barmore,
possibly Najee, Barmore.
Dickerson.
Oh yeah, Dickerson. Even maybe a Dylan Moses might sneak in there. And
Wow.
we're probably forgetting a couple. I mean, Leatherwood, it's not crazy.
Yeah,
I don't
Leatherwood
think he'll go
too.
first, but I don't think it's crazy. So you got a
That's
whole
10
lot of
players
Bama
right there.
players. Yeah,
That's
that's
10
10 players.
And you just need what, 6?
Yeah, you need 6.
I'd take the over. Screw
Yeah,
it.
you got to take the over.
They're going, dude. Like, the Bama players are just too freaking good. It's just, it's unfair.
Yeah, so I know how everyone likes to have like, oh, this school is DBU, this school is wide receiver U. Bama is NFLU.
Yeah, they probably are. Easily are. I mean, since Saban's been there, at least.